Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Bilingual show, the Gloria. And today is Friday. And everybody's so happy because it's Friday. And we have to be happy every single day. So, my name is Gloria Goldberg. I'm the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD a natural way and a holistic way to always make you feel better. And where do you can find me? In iTunes, Spotify, and all the platforms for podcasts. And every single episode live, it goes in podcast because if you don't have time to watch me, you have time to listen to me. And when you're driving, when you're doing your chores, or when you have a lay down, or a time for you to listen the beautiful topics that I bring every Friday and every Wednesday here. So you know, guys, that I talk about depression, like I said, like I mentioned before, anxiety and PTSD. And not every day when I come here, I cannot talk about the three subjects because the three subjects are very, I would not say complicated because for me they're not complicated, but they're subjects that you need to be addressed in a very careful way because I know in this moment in the world a lot of people is having a lot of issues. They're very confused about if they are and they have anxiety, they don't know if they have depression. If they have depression, they don't know if they have anxiety. And a lot of people also they don't know that after a trauma they have PTSD, that's post-stress traumatic, is the issues that you have after a huge drama or a small drama, because not dramas have levels. If you, it could be like the most terrifying thing, and it could be the most simple thing, but always the problems of each person, they are big for each person. In my case, I've been kidnapped. If you don't know my story, I was kidnapped when I was 25 years old, and I was held in captivity for 90 days. So I suffer from all that. I suffer from depression, anxiety, and PTSD, and I be able to manage all this about for 23 years. So now I'm 48, and I be able to manage that without medication, without nothing like harm my body. Just wanted to live, just wanted to keep going in this life. And sometimes I have my days are down, and sometimes I have days that I'm very anxious, and sometimes I can get triggered. So I know how is all that, and that's why it's my mission. Because I didn't understand why I was kidnapped. I didn't understand why God or life gave me this kind of huge, tremendous trauma. And it took me almost 22 years to realize that was a blessing. And sometimes we say, wow, that was a blessing to be in captivity for 90 days. Well, everything that I learned in captivity and everything I learned after captivity is always a lesson that make me the woman I am today. And one day I realized, wow, I suffer from this. I suffer from depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And I be able to be in this world. I be able to be a very successful entrepreneur. I be able to run companies. I be able to do a lot of stuff. So if I know I be able to do that, so I want people to also learn to do that. And now I'm in the process to master in my life to be able to help you to master yours. And today I have a very special guest because she's a very successful woman, and she been through a lot of stuff too. And she's a very successful woman, very powerful. And I'm gonna read about a little bit about her. Okay, she's Klementina. She's an expert that transforms people, guiding to transmute conditions and fears through shadow works, and to create their authentic self by aligning to life creating norms, where results in the areas of creating your soul mission, living in freedom, improved health, and beautiful relationships. So I bring her here today because when I'm being almost like a wanted to do a lot of shadow work. I've been doing some shadow work, but not that deep. So I'm so curious to know how shadow work it can help to feel better or release anxiety and to feel better in depression. So I can't wait to come bring her in and ask those questions. And also we're gonna know a little bit more about her because who's better to introduce herself than her. So let's bring her in and welcome to the bilingual show, the Gloria, Clementina. Hi, Clementina. How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm really well, thank you. So good to be here with you again. Well, on a different
Yes.
show, but again together.
Exactly. Well, I'm so honored to have you today because you know my passion, my mission, and I know you and me, we align almost very similar mission that is bring light to people that suffers, that people don't know what to do. So before we start and jump in that topics, I want you to tell everybody a little bit who is Clementina.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good intro into the discussion. Um, so I'll start with my story a little bit because I think that connects the dots really well with my own experience and what I'm doing. Um, so when I was about 6 years old, I moved to the capital with my parents. And this is when the first times I feel like I felt like really different than other children. I was bullied for being like from not from the capital because I had a bit of an accent, coming from a smaller city. Um, and yeah, there was this sense of like, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't belong, I'm not accepted as I am. And a lot of the children in the capital, because I moved to a really nice neighborhood, like, everybody was like super intellectual from the parents, like there was so much competition. So I think this is where it started to be a bit like, oh, like there's so much competition, I have to survive
Right.
somehow, I have to prove myself. And so a lot of emotions and fears came up, which I didn't really share with my parents because I didn't really think they could, I didn't want to be, another burden on them. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep up with it because I can, be strong and work hard and I'll make it happen. So this is how like the being strong and working hard really started as a strategy to survive, really. And yeah, that's working, hard and being strong brought me to many, many places. Like most people would say I'm like really confident, but that definitely wasn't the case always, or even now. Like, for some areas of my life I'm still working through them, and I'm just being open to what's coming up, actually, what else is there. But
Right.
yeah, that brought me to have to be successful in school, in a career, and lead multi-million dollar projects and programs in the corporate world, in the nonprofit world as well, traveling and working globally. um, I realized my dream because I was very persistent, to make it happen, to to just realize myself and to still, do something
So
with myself.
so you became competitive like the same the other people too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I became competitive when I was young. Yeah, and I think this was a trigger for me, like the competitiveness. I was like, okay, maybe I can do it. Like maybe I'm not smart enough, but I'll work hard. So like that was my way. Like, okay, I can work hard. This is the way that I can do it. So this is where it started. But yeah, in school it was very competitive, and in those circles. So it was a way to survive, I think, and to be accepted as well by my parents, by my peers. Because this was the way, how parents would praise you, and this is the way how like you would be, seen in school. So yeah, I started doing that, and that brought me there. And then in 2000 and what was it, 2018 or 19, it was when my spiritual awakening started when I moved to Bali. Really, before that I wasn't even spiritual because I didn't know what truth is. And like
Right.
everything about that was seeming so awkward, like black magic and churches and like. But in Bali I really realized a lot of things, and I had a big awakening as to what spirituality is, and since then I've been on that path. And I was always super interested in human potential. I've been working with people since younger ages, because I was volunteering in a student organization. um, and so this is how my passion to actually do something with humans directly evolved. I'm like, okay, I don't have to be in the business world. I can do something actually that really is close to my heart and be truly myself. So this is, yeah. this journey started. I had a shadow work session with one of my mentors. I was like, okay, I really want to face my fears. Am I really, stupid? Am I really ugly? Am I really like this or that? Like these fears, that are coming up.
Yes, insecurity, fears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
insecurity. Like, where is this anxiety coming from? Where is the stress coming from? Why am I so stressful? Why am I working so hard always? So I just wanted to face myself and see like what's real and what isn't. And this is when I had one of the biggest discoveries that trust, and I was like so proud of my how trustworthy I am as a person. And then I realized, wow, trust is one of my biggest values, but I didn't trust myself. So I never really saw it in relation to myself. I saw it in relation to other people. Which then I realized is completely twisted, because if you're not in integrity with yourself, you cannot be in integrity with others. It's just not the real thing. So
but
this was
but it's very, very like what you just said also resonate with me because it resonate with me because yes, I create trust. People trusted me, but in deep inside, I was not trusting in me, and I had a lot of wondering why. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
like you just said, it resonates with me, and we are very empowered. We empower. We are like very successful, but we carry something inside of us like why? And then you go home and you face the mirror and say no, you are not that. You question yourself many times.
yeah, yeah. And it's with a reason. I think why we don't trust ourselves. It's because we were
Right.
not taught to deal with the world, as it is, and to navigate the world as it is. And because the world is also changing, our parents didn't know how to teach us that. It's interesting, but we can go deeper into that. That's my favorite topic, I must say, like how to navigate the world in these changing times. Actually, this is how I guide people to creation. Um, but yeah, just to finish the story, trust is, yeah, it's a big one when we don't trust ourselves. And this was a big hit for me. Like I was like, it was just like a huge slap. And then like in that moment, I actually realized why I had so much stress and anxiety, because I remember one moment before I leave in Bali, there was a moment I was running for the train in Brussels to catch the train for work. And I was like running. I missed the train, and my heart was like, like beating so hard. I was like, this is crazy. I'm gonna get a heart attack. Like why am I so
Right.
stressed and anxious about this? And like, um, and then I realized, like this cannot go like this. There's something has to change. And in that moment, when I realized that this is the belief that I cannot trust myself and that I'm not good enough, and that I don't belong, this was the moment when everything clicked and just like the cells of my body just shifted, like I literally felt it. I was like, oh my God, that whole stress I was putting myself all the time, this is the root cause, and so I like really felt like this huge sense of release and self-compassion, which most people would go into anger. And for sure, I've gotten into anger even after that. Sometimes, when I discover some new stuff. But yeah, that was a huge awakening moment for me to that I am a creator and I can be whatever I want, based on, of course, my capacities and my skills, because we're also in different levels as humans of our spiritual and skills development. But yeah, at that time I realized I can be a creator, and that I'm living with so much delusion. And since then I've been focused on pretty much creating for myself, in my own way. And this was really new for me, because it was really scary to do it before.
So I want to ask you about shadow work because maybe a lot of people don't understand a little bit what is shadow work. So can you explain a little bit what is that?
Yeah. So shadow work is when we do a process of kind of like an inquiry to dig deeper into our beliefs. And some of these beliefs are core beliefs. I'll just give you an example before I explain it, because it's going to be much clearer. Let's say my situation with moving to the capital, right? An event happens, somebody says to me, oh, you're speaking with an accent, like you're not from here. And this is an event that's happening. And then I start being ashamed. I start getting the belief I don't belong here, and this then causes, fear that I may not belong, maybe I'll be alone, I might not make it. And then this fear actually is perpetuating even that that event. And so I become like fearful, then stressed, then I even overcompensate, so I become really like overconfident, like, because I don't want to let people hurt me again. I start working really hard and all that. And so you see as well about the example that I told you from the corporate world, like overcompensating to the fact that you can kill yourself, like having a heart attack.
Yes.
So because you don't know why you're always rushing, why you always have to do more. And so this is it. And shadow work, for me, and there are multiple methods probably, it's really about finding those aspects, those beliefs that are actually at the root of what's really happening in your life. So the root cause, the root belief, how you say it in yourself. Like, I don't belong, I'm not seen, I'm not enough because of XYZ. And so I help people through a deep inquiry process, because I listen to them and they listen to them, and I can challenge them and I can use my intuition, lovingly, but boldly, to really like realize themselves, discover from themselves the beliefs that they have and that they hold, and if they're true or not. And so this is it about, looking for those core beliefs, because when we become aware, then we can act not from the core belief, which is destructive often, but from something else, like from what you really want to create. Otherwise, we will always react from the core destructive belief. 95% of what we think and do is coming, from the unconscious. It's a robot brain, it's like these unconscious beliefs are on autopilot. They run all the time. And so you really have to be conscious about them and start making different choices and start noticing them in your life. Then some of them might dissolve through this process, but like they've been on autopilot for your whole life. So you really have to be willing to do the work, for sure, with this process.
Right. So what do you think about depression? What do you think about in your experience? Do you experience depression? What you think about it?
Mm-hmm. So my latest actually discovery, and this comes from my source and mentors, is that depression comes from a deeply repressed anger. And so that's really interesting. And depression is in fact this state of like constantly feeling like you're powerless for a long period of time. And so I truly connected to something that happens in the childhood as well, like I just mentioned. And, like, for example, I have a friend who has been sexually abused when he was really young. And so, this brings so much anger and shame because you cannot share it with people. And so with time, actually, and this is something new that I learned recently, the older we grow, the more these things are starting to manifest themselves. And so at some point in your life, it's going to appear if you haven't dealt with it, through a depression, through an addiction. And this is because you can't deal with it anymore. It's like you may be successful in life, you may be even successful at work, but you may still feel like really powerless. There's something inside that just like doesn't fit, like there's still this shame and sense of powerlessness, and people tend to do things that they don't know where they come from, like ruin their relationships or something, or just become addicted. So it's a long-term sense of powerlessness. And a lot of the people in depression, I feel like, and luckily, like I'm not there, or maybe I sometimes I am, maybe, on little moments, little glimpses, because we all have a glimpse of depression. But it's like really this sense of like death is the solution. People don't see another solution in those moments. And I think we all experience those moments sometimes when we hit a wall. So it is a familiar experience to me on a small scale, but people experience it on a long-term basis.
You
And this
know,
is,
I encounter some people sometimes like, do you suffer from depression? No, like right away, no, I don't suffer from depression. And I never being diagnosed by depression. I said, okay, I understand that. But it doesn't mean you're not being diagnosed by depression. You probably have some kind of depression, and depression is all kind of different ways. Some people last forever, some people last for a short time, some people last for years, some people is so different as the way you carry the situations. And you know, the mission here to talk about this subject is to just break that taboo or mystic that they have around these subjects, because a lot of people say, oh, I've been crying, I'm so down. That is depression. And it doesn't matter if it lasts you 1 or 2 or 3 days, it's depression. So when you are crying and you don't want to leave, or you want to just be enclosed, you don't want to face the light, you don't want to talk to anybody, you just want to be close in
yeah,
your room, that's depression.
yeah,
Even you are the most healthy person, that you don't have no pain in anywhere, or nothing happened recently, but you feel that way, you are feeling depression. So it doesn't mean that you need to go and run into a psychologist and see what's going on, but you have to start like paying attention. Why is that coming from? And if you see that that perseveres, then you need to go to look for someone, because depression anybody can have a day with depression, like a day that you want to be down, you don't want anything, you feel down. It's normal. And the next day you're okay. Yes, you suffer from a little depression, means you depress yourself to the lower energy, or to the lower ground, or to the lower self. So I like what you said, like about the depression. There's anger, repressed anger, and all of us, we have anger in some ways.
yeah,
Being little, adult, whatever, we have moments that we have rageous anger, and a lot of people think that rageous anger is like you make a lot of, like a big deal. No, when it's a rageous anger, you store it and start reflecting in yourself, and in a lot of ways.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there are people who, like, let's say, for example, manifested during the driving, like, they
Yes,
yell. But there
yes,
are people who will not express it ever. And this is one
ever.
of the scariest ones, because
That's
these people
yes.
don't know. It's so deeply repressed that they don't know that they even have it, and a lot of people actually, even myself, I don't know what I'm going to discover tomorrow. I'm really open,
Yes, me
for
too.
because but when we go into the deep state and understand what's happening, what has happened in the past, we may find an event that we have just completely, removed
For
from our conscious, but
yes.
it still happened, and because we couldn't deal with it, we just forgot it, forgot about it. But many people have this type of events as well that they don't really even realize, and it's really important to clear them up, because I firmly, like, now really believe that it's not only for this lifetime, it's like for more lifetimes, and what we can clear in this lifetime is always going to bring us further.
Exactly. Okay, so what you think about anxiety?
um Anxiety, for me, anxiety is, like, there's, and I don't know if it's always like that for everybody, but for me, like, anxiety is before depression. Depression is like more severe. But let's say anxiety, many people suffer from anxiety these days, whether it was due to an event that happened in their childhood, or traumatic, or maybe not even so traumatic, and that they came up with this assumption and a belief after. They attached a belief about something that they're not enough, or maybe there is a lot of shame or guilt. But also in today's world, because it's changing so fast, I don't know if you know about these
Yes.
statistics, but the attention span of a human is now less than a goldfish attention span. So
Oh
we,
my goodness.
yeah, 8.5 or 25 seconds, something like that, and a goldfish has 9. And this is a measurement from 2015. um, but like every year our attention span just goes lower and lower and lower. Social media, more stress at work, more things happening now, the pandemic, isolation. And so all of this really creates a lot of anxiety, and people don't even realize it. And and maybe people realize it in this pandemic because they were closed and they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with myself, like, because normally people would go out there and drink maybe with their friends or do something, but now we were really faced with ourselves, and so it can come from that too, or just social conditionings in general. Yeah, there is another cause actually that I've been made aware of in recently, and I'm working on it proactively, and it's heavy metals. We've been
Yes.
poisoned. We are being poisoned by heavy metals, either in the air, particles that they're spraying to minimize climate change, or in the petrol, in the water. So there's a lot of heavy metals, and those can cause emotions actually, and thoughts and anxiety and depression as well. So sometimes it's not even up to you. There's something external in your body which is causing it. So it's
It's a lot. It's many reasons where people are
yeah.
suffering right now, and especially after the pandemic. Like you said, a lot of people realize that they need to connect with themselves before they get crazy, and some people didn't know what to do and still have the burning of what happens and still happening, and we cannot judge people because people deal with the situation in different ways, but some people don't know how to deal with these situations. So you said that you work with shadow work. That's your profession and that's what you're doing right now. So what is the most thing that it comes to you? Your clients are coming for depression and anxiety as well?
um Often, yeah. So they are like, many times I feel people are just like not sure about how to move on. They feel a sense of stuckness.
Right.
um, there is a sense of like and when they think about their problem, there's a sense of anxiety and depression as well. And some people have had depression before, some people feel often depressed, um, but these are people often that want to also create something. So this is the people I love to work with. And so there is an overall sense, I think, now in today's time, that people are just not knowing how to face the world and their existence in it. So they're not like, they don't know what to do. They feel really stuck in their relationships, in their creation, in just moving on to the next level. How can I become a bit more, like, grow? So these are a lot of the reasons that people come to me. And yeah, I find often people feel anxious and depressed about certain things, especially when the belief is playing out. So often we do this exercise in my inquiry. We're like, okay, how do you feel when you act in this and this way, or who are you when you act in this way? And people say it out loud, depressed, anxious. So when they're like in this like role, like, for example, when people think I don't belong, and then they really find it really hard to connect to a community, or to move to a new place, or to establish relationships, or maybe they have a relationship and they have issues in it. They feel anxious, depressed, and all that. When they say that they're playing out their belief. So this is really, it's like when we play out our beliefs and what we deeply believe about ourselves, which is not even real, we can really get anxious and depressed. But when they don't think about that, when they are like completely themselves, then there is no that feeling. The feeling is not there anymore of being anxious or depressed. They feel themselves.
So can you tell us the story how you find that the shadow work it will work for you, because there's a lot of techniques out there and I know all the techniques are different for different people. So how do you find the shadow work it was gonna wake you up in the situation that you was in?
For me, what was interesting is that because the shadow work is that I did then, and then I do with my clients now, it's like really just picking up instances from your life. Something about conflicts that you have, something about what annoys you with other people, And then we unpack this like things about why do they bother you, and what happened in that conflict, and by unpacking that, and it can be the smallest example, you don't have to have big examples, you don't have to come with your trauma, you don't have to know your trauma, but you come with just real life examples. And I know exactly which questions to ask, of course, that would bring that up. And sometimes we work with one client for 3 hours on just the first one, and that gives us everything, because that's the belief, and we can, and then even if we go through the rest of the questions, we find exactly the same core belief at the root of everything. So it's real life examples, and it's just inquiry, and then you discover it for yourself. So this is why I like this specific method. And it seems that I have an intuition for it, so that's why I like it too. So I can help others, and I didn't know I have that.
So when you did your shadow work, you right away felt that that's what exactly you want to do, and in the way you feel so great about yourself that you said, well, this is what I want to do to help people.
I actually had no clue I'm gonna do that when I did it the first time. Like, I could not imagine myself doing it until the moment I said I'm gonna do it. Because actually, first I was helping my clients in their businesses to. I was like a soulful business coach, and then I was like, but people cannot deal with their business if they haven't dealt with their shadow. So I'm like, how do I do this? I have to. I felt called to really help them, and I was like, okay, I really want to do this. And then I still wasn't confident in myself. But the moment I started doing it with clients who actually wanted to really do the work, it was magical. I was like, wow, I had no clue I can do this, And so this is how it started. I just purely from wanting to help people to deal with the shadow, because I don't think you can be a creator if you haven't dealt with your shadow, or at least to create something really authentic that's you and that you will love. You will always be constrained by those beliefs. So this is how it happened. I literally did not think that I will do this.
So what kind of people look for you? Like what they are looking for? Because everybody looks for different reasons in life. What exactly they look for in you?
In me, so often we attract similar people, let's say. So in this case, those would be people who have achieved a lot of success in their life, but they don't feel like they've mastered anything, or that they have mastered anything that's truly on their heart. So people who are like really hardworking, successful, but they don't feel like they've mastered something, and they have a lot of fears. They know they're conditioned, and maybe they deal with anxiety and a lot of fears, but they know it. They know it, and they want to deal with it. They want to solve it, and they're willing to do the work. So this kind of people that really want to do the work, and they want to really see the truth. Because if they're not willing, of course, nobody can make anybody do anything. So yeah.
So a person who wants to, like an entrepreneur that have all these issues, all these feelings, and they want to face the fears, to face the secret fears and the secret insecurities. It comes to you for them, and after that, they just like open more and be creating more of what they was.
Yeah, so first we do the shadow work, and then they can choose actually to stay for a longer journey, where I will support them through some life creating principles. And so this is where the creation part comes then. How can you actually retain this transformation by really transforming your relationships, transforming, what you do, and really evolving organically, because nature is organic. Everything is organic. Today we want a quick fix. And yes, this process is a really quick fix about getting to know, like, what are your core destructive beliefs, and you can really work with it yourself if you're really onto it. But the transformation, in your life, you start manifesting something different, will take some time. It will be a bit organic, and so this is it, about how you can actually create from life supporting principles. And so it's really about creators, and they don't have to be entrepreneurs. Everybody is a creator. You can be a creator in a company. You can be a creator, in doing something that you really like. So yeah, currently working with everybody that wants to create and wants to really find their true self.
So shadow work in a simple phrase is like going into your deep soul, deep self, and start like looking for the secrets and stuff that you everybody knows what's going on, but they don't know how to face them.
Yeah, or maybe they don't know how to verbalize them. It's scary, actually, when we don't have the tool to deal with something, we do not want to face it. By having the tool to deal with it, and this is what I do through my shadow work session, I literally, through the process we go through, I give tools to people because they know how to do it themselves after. Then they're willing to open up, because like I remember about myself, I didn't want to face it until I had the tool or the coach, in let's say in that time, to help me. And I wasn't even conscious of it, but this is how we humans work. We want to protect ourselves, so our brain is geared to protect us, and it will literally even come up with reasons not to do something so we don't get into a situation which is unknown. This is how the brain works. It's our protection mechanism. So we really have to step over it and be like, no, I'll do it. I trust this person. We have to have the trust with that person. I have to feel comfortable with that person. I really felt comfortable with my first mentor. I was like, okay, I can really trust her. I feel comfortable. Let's do it. And so to have this security, this safe space. And so we all need that. We all need that when we transform. And having the tools is really important to recognize something. Otherwise, we can't see it. We're just going to protect ourselves from it.
Yes. So before your shadow work, we keep secrets, we keep all this suffering, like this kind of like this insecurity and stuff, but we don't put it out there. So how you was manifesting that outside to people, because we manifest in a different way, sometimes in a very negative way. So do you was manifesting all that insecurity or all that issues that you have in like a negative way that you just like, wow.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I was attracting the wrong partners in my life. So I was attracting people that I can control and manipulate, let's say, or like I would really work hard on the relationship, and then I would get disappointed because, like the other person is not really returning back the favor. But it was my hard working, it was my way of like, because I was insecure. So I was attracting completely wrong partners. I didn't have any huge dramas, but like it wasn't the right thing. And I wasn't real even. And I would attract emotionally unavailable partners as well, which is interesting. So because I haven't yet explored my own self, my deep self. So that was one way how it manifested. Second, in the work, often I would feel stressed, or like I would not even feel like it's enough what I'm doing. Even if I would have great results, for me it wouldn't be enough. And then I knew, it's like really this need to always like work hard and prove myself to myself even, and I didn't know I'm actually trying to prove myself to myself, which is never going to be enough. So then you're never satisfied, you always want to do more and more and more and work hard. Indecisiveness, overeating was one. Yes, I finally got myself into like better shape a few years ago. I mean, I was never really, really big, but I was like bigger. And I had this habit of like eating a lot and stuffing myself. And Macedonia is a bit like that kind of country where I come from initially. And like people tend to eat a lot to get stuffed. But it was definitely emotional. And I was eating, and I was always a bit bigger than what I wanted to. So just recently, in the past few years, I have managed to stabilize, and like this came natural. After doing the work, it just comes natural. You start loving yourself more, little by little. What else? A bit of feeling unsafe, paranoid, phobias. Like all these things, like on a small
What
level.
about temper? What about your temper?
Ooh, temper, yeah. Yeah. In the past, I definitely had a lot more anger, and I was telling people what to do, even. especially my brother and my sister, because I
Yes.
had so much fear, like about life and like what are they gonna do, like, and because I didn't know better, so I would like try to help them, but I would like tell them what to do. So this is not good. We have to realize that one of the laws of creation is really the free will, and this is what I didn't know then. um, Anger, for sure, it was coming up, especially when I felt there is injustice towards me. But now I'm like, okay, I know people are just like messed up in their own ways. I don't have to get angry about that, because
Right.
the moment we get angry, we feel this kind of feeling, it's me who feels that, and
Right.
it's me who's actually falling towards the dark side. And like, there's nothing, like, you don't do anything to the other person anyways. Like, okay, maybe you do actually to them even, but you are getting into this space of like anger and frustration, and this is really affecting you negatively. So
And also, what about dominant? Dominant. You was dominant too. You want to control. You want to say what they need
yes,
to say.
yes,
And then
yes.
now you have a big possession, so you want to tell everybody what to do, and this is the way or the
Yeah,
highway.
control, yeah, exactly. The way, this is the way or the highway. Ah, you're good, you're good.
Well, I can identify a little bit with you.
Oh, really? Yeah, this is
Yes.
good. Yeah, I'm glad you. Yeah,
We suffer a
yeah,
lot. We suffer a
yeah,
lot being like that because when you dominate, is insecurity, is
yeah,
fear, like 100%. Not like you know more than everybody or you want to control. It's not. You don't need to control people at all for be able to do that kind of stuff.
no,
So,
no, and controlling them is even like bad for you, because like you're falling to the darkness, basically. And there is so much darkness. We don't need more darkness. We need more light.
and when
And
you control, people tends to not listen to you,
yeah,
and then you get frustrated and you
yeah,
want more control and you want to put like no, it's this way, and the people are gonna say no. So that's why we attract so much problem with the partners, with the people, and in confrontations, because we are so dominant. And
yeah,
that's where we need to balance that. Yes, we can get into a point that we can talk in a way that doesn't feel control, because when you are an entrepreneur or you're a leader, the leader doesn't feel like they are like everybody needs to listen. The leader listen to everybody, and then the leader command and continue with everything what everybody is saying. That's the leader. So a lot of people confuse being dominant and controlling the situations is because they have to be like that, and that is the way. Whereas like they have a big wall up, fears, they don't want people to go, they want people to do what they want to do, and that's not the way.
yeah,
And that's why we need to learn that, you know what, everybody have a free will. And yes, you can say a lot of stuff, but not in a dominant way, because we tend to do that. Like it's a constant work, because we are being used to do all dominant all our lives, that when we just going through shadow or works like a transformation, we still have a little bit the pattern, but the difference is now we are more conscious of what we're doing, and then we go back and say, oh, I was dominant, I was
yeah,
this, and I was that. And it's a process, and don't think that people's gonna do a shadow work and tomorrow is gonna be fine. Yes, they're gonna realize a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of work, because one of my coaches say a long time, Gloria, how long you been having this? 23 years or so. Wow. So the work to move that away is gonna take a long time. So you need to be patient and be grateful that you're already aware of what happens. But I
yeah,
understand exactly what you're saying about
yeah,
dominant and temper, and like a kind of bitches, because
yeah.
we need to make this position, to people to respect us and to listen to us.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that about the dominance and the control. This is big. People
This
wanting
is
to
big.
control, it's big, and we should never let anybody do that to us, because then you know that there is something actually really wrong there. So, and it's big to recognize it, So I encourage everybody who is listening to just recognize it in yourself and be like, okay, I want to deal with this, and I don't want to do this to the other person anymore, or to myself.
And we
and
became
just let them
toxic.
go.
We became very toxic.
Yeah.
And people, and we tend to think that the other people are toxic, and we have our say, and this is not fair, and this is not fair, this is the way, and we look for all like you know, like, oh, this is the way, I don't know why you don't see this way. So we get into that and the toxicity, and we became very toxic. We put everybody in a room. When we get in a room that people don't like us, and not because they don't like us, because it's because the toxicity that we we put around,
Yeah.
because our insecurities, because in a relationship you don't want the guy to leave you, so you
Yeah.
control him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And finding specifically people that can be actually controlled on some level, so this is
Yes,
interesting how the unconscious works. It's just creating, and you're not even aware what's creating. Like, I had no clue, this is happening. And then when I saw it, I was like, well, like, I can find some commonality between them.
and when you
Yeah.
find the guy, and when you're toxic like that, and you're working on that, and you find a guy that I say to you no to all the BS that you said, well, that's the master that you need. Because
Yeah.
not the guy who said go run and the guy's gonna run. That's not the guy for you. It's the
Yeah.
guy who's gonna say no to you to everything, because he's teaching you that it's not his way, and it's not your way. It's both ways.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And a big lesson that I've learned from this as well is like, um, because still through this journey, especially when we're really driven, we do get to, like, for example, because of being so driven and going through that and dealing with all that, like, I was inclined to support people, like, for years, but I was just doing it so wrong. And now there's this relief of like, I actually don't have to help people that don't want to be helped. They will come to me,
Exactly.
those that want to be helped. And now it's beautiful. I can have the most profound relationships with my clients. We can go deeper, deeper than I've ever been with anybody else, um, in the family. So we don't have to have these misconceptions that, oh, this is how the relationship should be with my mother or my sister or my brother or my father. Like, no, like, there is like, they can go as far as they want to go, you go as far as you want to go, but then you can have that relationship with other people, and they can be even your clients, or your partner, your new partner. So this is really real beauty, that you are starting to attract your own soul family, and people that you can really connect with. And this is just really beautiful.
And when we trying to fix the problems of other people without asking us, it's also wrong, because we tend to do that. So we have a power in us to see a lot of stuff, but the way we do the way we was doing it, it was not successful in that
Yeah,
way, because people
yeah,
will say, wow, wow, she comes to a cross, who is she to tell me? And now that we are in this path that trying to help people, we understand that. So now, in my case, I don't talk until people ask me questions. So
yeah,
I don't offer to help you. I don't offer anything. If the person wants to come to me, it's because I have something for that person, but not like an offering. Oh, I know what happens to you, this and that, and give like advice. And no, that doesn't work. I'm
yeah, yeah,
quiet, and if you come to me, I'm open to say whatever it needs to
exactly.
say.
And I want to just add to that, because that's so, I mean, this has been such a story of my life, like spending so much energy on that. So like, when we go to people trying to help them, resolve their issue, we're just making them, first of all, so small.
Yes,
Second, like, we are avoiding our own issue, probably,
exactly,
because
exactly.
yeah,
That's
we're
why
so
we
much.
understand them.
Yeah, and we're really like, it's really our issue that we need to deal with. And this is taking away our, well, not only like damaging the relationship with the other person, but taking away the energy that we can use for creation, because creation gives you even energy, like, because it's you creating, and you're like, oh wow, I just created this, no matter how small it is. And then you're like, well, if I'm able to do that, what more I can do, and so then you just start, and that gives you energy. You start connecting with the right people, as opposed to like wasting your energy on destroying relationships and worrying about other people, which you cannot change anyways. It's impossible to change others if they don't want to change.
Exactly. So we are now almost for 50 minutes, and I want you to tell everybody how you can help them. And I have your banner here with all your social media, where they can find you, and what kind of work. Well, we already discussed a little bit of what you do, but I want to a little bit more emphasize that so people will understand and recognize you more.
Yeah, sure. So how I can help people? First of all, people, which people? It's people who are have just done quite a lot of work in their life. They're pretty successful, but they feel that they're not mastering anything that's really on their heart. Um, People who suffer from anxiety and fears and know that they have been conditioned by childhood events, by society, etc., and really want to move beyond that. And people who really want to create something, or like they're like they don't have to believe they can do it because that's done through the process, but like creators are beautiful people, just wanting to do something, no matter how big or small it is. So these people are the best to work with me because I've also been through that experience. And then how I help people is through, first of all, we go through shadow work, which is really not so long. It's like the process itself is like about 3 to 4 hours, sometimes up to 6 hours, but it goes around 3 weeks because there is some preparation and something after that to help the person integrate. The shadow work is really about facing yourself, your own beliefs about yourself, about the world, and how you relate to the world. And like literally we're going to go down to like wording your beliefs, like what are your core destructive beliefs. With that, you're going to actually have some glimpses around your mission, soul mission, because I'm going to guide you through a few processes to, and like often our pain gives some indication of our mission. Like in your case, for example, Gloria, you literally have such a connection between your pain and your mission in your life. So this is exactly
Yes.
what we do with people. Yeah, we're like connecting the pain to the mission, but we're doing a few other things like numerology, and a few other things to help people really be clear about what they, just to push them in the right direction. Maybe they will still not be clear because maybe their mission is much smaller than that big idea, but the big picture they will have. But then with time they will become more quality and more specialized and etc. So this is about then the next phase, about organic creating according to life creating principles. This
Right.
comes from a source who's connected to the divine. And I love this because it's super simple, like respect free will, respect people, and a few other things. And so I just guide people through those creation principles to be able to create their relationships, their life, with their creation, whatever it is. So if you want to contact me, feel free to private message me, and I'm happy to have a talk with you. First, we're going to have like a call, and then we're going to see if there is a fit and if I can help you.
So which one of these three handles are the most effective for people to contact you?
Instagram, Klementina D is perfect. Yeah. But yeah, Facebook can work as well.
Okay, so you guys know where you can find Clementina, how to help you to achieve any kind of mission, any kind of creativity. She will help you to guide you through the shadow work and many other good stuff that is going to connect you with your soul. And I guarantee your soul is going to be super happy. And when you connect with your soul, then you have very easy the path. Not easy, easier, right?
At least you're
Easier.
moving through the right path. It's not easy, but
Exactly.
it's the
That
right path.
is right. Okay, so before we go, do you want to say anything to my people who suffer from depression, anxiety, and PTSD? Any thought that you have before I
Yeah.
put you in the green room?
I think really just create, create something. Like if not something that big, just create a new habit.
Right.
You can, after this, you can just commit to one single habit. It can be like as simple as I'm not going to eat gluten. And this will really, transform the way you do it, because you will, and it doesn't have to be gluten. It can be like, I turn off my phone after at 10 p.m. or after
Or
8
drink
p.m.
or drink a lot of water, because a lot of people
drink
are.
drink some liters of water. And so with one little habit, you can actually, and do the simplest one for you. Even though I would recommend the gluten, do what's simplest, because gluten is also important. Do the simplest, because that can show you that you can do it, that you are a creator, and that will give you a power. And then you're like, oh, what else can I do? So it's really, life is about creation, and this is and about self, just being okay with yourself and what you're creating. So just do something, help people around you create, and at least one habit can change something.
Wow. Well, Clementina, thank you so much today to be in the Bilingual Show. The Gloria, I'm honored to have you here. And I know this is not gonna be not the first one, not even the last one, because we're gonna do a lot of cool stuff together in the future. I would like to know what's going on later in your life and see what people is up to. And you know my mission, and I know you are almost in the same mission as me. And I'm glad that you spreading the light to this world too. And we need more people like you. So thank you so much, and I really, really appreciate you today in my show, the Bilingual Show, the Gloria.
And it's been my pleasure. It's been my honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna put you in the green room. I'm gonna wrap the show, and if you need to go, you know what to do. If not, you wait for me, and we chat like for maybe a little bit,
All
and
right.
then that's it. All right. Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Wow, so you know where to find Clementina if you want to work the shadow work. Here are all the handles for her, where you can talk to her, and maybe when you talk to her, she will tell you if you be able to. She will be able to help you, because not all the techniques will help people, but I know that I've been done some shadow work. It helps tremendously to understand why your issues, why things are coming, why you have that anger, why you react this way or the other way, why you don't like people, or why you do like a lot of people, or why you trust everybody, and why people is like not trust with you. So it's so many things that there's so many things that we need to work, so many things that we need to be aware, because we've been for a many years, I would say centuries, not being aware, because our parents, they was not fully aware of what they was doing. So this generation are like, now we are becoming more aware, and to come in to cut those chains that we are bringing for our ancestors that didn't know better, the change of the lie, like for example, to break the chain of the lie, or the chain of the violent, or the chains of the suffering, the chains of a lot of stuff, the betray, the a lot of stuff that we bring, that we don't know why things happen to us. That once you recognize all that, what's happening in your life, what happened in your family, what happened to your mother and your father and your grandfather and your grand up to 7 generations, if you can, well, you're gonna be able to resolve a lot of your issues of your life. And what my wish and my wanted to see is for you to feel better, and because I know how to feel when you're down, and I know how is that sensation is very bad, and the only thing you're doing is poison yourself. It poisoned everybody around you, and became toxic for other people and for yourself. And that's the last thing I want for you, to be toxic. Well, I'm talking from one that I was very toxic, because that's the process, not to pretend here to be somebody else. The process here to tell you that people like us, me, that we are spreading light, that we have a lot of things that we worked before, and that's why we are in this mission, to help you to feel better, and to guide you to not go to the same rough paths that we went through. Because let me tell you, it's very rough paths that we went through, and I'm blessed for that, and I'm glad that I learned that, to be able to be here today and bring this beautiful mission that is about depression, anxiety, PTSD. So anyway, have a wonderful weekend, and I hope you every day of the single week is beautiful and happy. And if not a happy day, it's okay. It's like earth. Sometimes rain, sometimes shine, sometimes a lot of stuff, and that's what happens to us. So anyway, here, thank you so much to be in the bilingual show, the Gloria. And today, this is another mission that I'm here to bring light to you and for you to feel better. And this is Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a holistic way and natural way to always make you feel better. And thank you so much to be in the bilingual show, the Gloria. Have a nice weekend and beautiful day. Bye bye.